Now we come to our next study of the book of Revelation, the seven seals, the seven trumpets, and the seven vials. Since we've already explained to you to take the Bible literally wherein it is at all possible, then I think we can just go through these 21 consecutive events without any trouble. In chapter 5, the Lamb took a book out of the right hand of God who sat on the throne, and he began to break the seven seals that bound that little book. In chapter 6, the first two verses, we have when the Lamb had broken the first seal, the first beast said, "Come and see," or "Come." And he saw a white horse rider. The rider was given a bow and a crown, or rather he had a bow and a crown was given unto him. He went forth conquering and to conquer. This is none other than the rise of the Antichrist after the rapture of the church, going forth among the nations to conquer the nations. In Daniel 7, we have the idea that 10 kingdoms must be formed inside of the Roman Empire before the Antichrist comes. And in the 24th verse of that 7th chapter, where it speaks of the 10 horns and explains them, it says the little horn is another king that will come after the 10 and will overthrow 3 of these 10 kingdoms. Thus you see the coming of the Antichrist is going to be by causing war, not universal peace and prosperity as many people teach. The Antichrist is going to rise out of 10 kingdoms, overthrow 3 of the 10. The other 6 of the 10 will submit to him without a struggle. And read along with that, Revelation 17, verses 12 to 17. That will give you further commentary on this idea. So the first seal is simply the rise of the Antichrist. The second seal in verses 3 and 4 of the 6th chapter is that of a red horse rider going forth, red horse and his rider. The rider had a sword in his hand. And it was said to him that he should take peace from the earth. That is clearly a picture of war. When the third seal was broken, a black horse and rider came forth. The rider had a pair of balances in his hand. A voice said to him, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. See thou hurt not the oil of the wine." This is a picture of famine. Measuring foodstuff in both testaments is a picture of famine. Here we have the idea you can buy 3 measures of wheat, or rather 3 measures of barley. That pictures foodstuffs 8 times higher than in normal times. So you can see that's a clear picture of famine, and that is a result of the rise of the Antichrist and the result of the wars that the Antichrist will cause, as pictured in the first 2 of these 7 seals. In the 4th seal, in verses 7 and 8 of the 6th chapter, he said he saw a pale horse, but literally in the Greek, a green horse came forth, and that horse was called Death, and hell followed with him. This certainly needs no explanation. It explains itself as being death and hell turned loose on the earth, naturally swallowing up the millions of people killed in these wars and famines and pestilences of the first seals. In the 5th seal, beginning with the 9th verse of the 6th chapter, we have the idea that under the order in heaven were seen by John souls who had been slain for the testimony of Jesus. They cried out, "How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth?" White robes are given to every one of them. Said, "You rest yet for a little season till the rest of your brethren should be killed as you were should be fulfilled." That's a picture of the first martyrs of the tribulation period. Remember that every dead and living believer goes in the rapture before these things begin to be fulfilled. So these are the first saints killed during the tribulation since the rapture of all the dead and living in Christ. They were told, "You rest until the rest of your brethren that should be killed as you were should be fulfilled." You can't misunderstand that if you'll take it just like it reads. Picture of tribulation martyrs. Then the 6th seal is broken, and he saw the sun become black as sackcloth of hair. The moon was turned to blood. Stars fell to the earth. And there was a great earthquake. And men down on the earth were crying for the rocks and the mountains to fall upon them and hide them from the wrath of the Lamb. That's a plain, literal description of what will take place during the 6th event of these seven events pictured in the seven seals. A literal earthquake and the changing of the sun, moon, the planets. And it will be so terrible that men on earth will cry for the rocks and the mountains to kill them. That's all we need to understand about that. Now then, the seventh seal in chapter 8:1 is simply that of silence in heaven by the space of half an hour. And since we know what a half an hour is, we have a little idea what heaven is, we know what silence is, then that is automatically clear if we believe what it says. Silence in heaven by the space of half an hour. Thus, 7 of these 21 consecutive events are completed one after the other, from the beginning of Daniel's 70th week down to the time of the blowing of the 7 trumpets, someplace in the middle of the first 3½ years of the last 7 years of this age.